Welcome to a brand new episode of Law and Batting Order. I'm your host, Tony Oyakostas. Here are some quick hits from the past 2 weeks. The World Series has arrived and we couldn't have asked for a better matchup. Over in the NL, the Giants defeated the Cardinals in a huge upset, sending the Giants to their second World Series in 3 years. Over in the AL, the Tigers swept the Yankees and the Tigers are in their second World Series in 6 years. This is the first time the Giants and the Tigers are facing each other in the World Series, and so far the Giants have dominated as they have a 2-0 lead in the series at the time this episode was filmed. Hopefully this series will continue to be as exciting and exhilarating as it has been for the first 2 games. NBA Commissioner David Stern has had quite the up and down journey as the basketball commissioner. However, on Thursday it was announced that David Stern will be retiring on February 1st, 2014. Adam Silver, the NBA's deputy commissioner, will take over David Stern's spot as the new commissioner of the NBA. David Stern has been a controversial figure during his tenure as commissioner. He has vetoed trades, and there has even been speculation that Commissioner Stern tampered with draft selections during several NBA draft lotteries. Nevertheless, during his 30-year career, he has seen the birth of stars and dynasties created. Here at Law and Batting Order, we wish David Stern nothing but the best. Despite being in the middle of the NHL lockout, the New York Islanders made some noise earlier this week. On Wednesday, it was announced that the New York Islanders would be moving from the Nassau Coliseum and would officially be moving to Brooklyn. Starting in 2015, the New York Islanders will begin playing at the Barclays Center, the new home of the Brooklyn Nets. The Islanders signed a 25-year lease to make this move possible. From a business perspective, this revives the Islanders as they will be in a new forum and will be playing in a new town. Today's Order in the Court will be discussing Ozzie Guillen and his recent firing as the Miami Marlins manager. If you recall, during the fall of 2011, shortly after the conclusion of the 2011 regular season, the Florida Marlins were in the process of moving to Miami into a new ballpark and becoming the new Miami Marlins. During that time, the Marlins hired former White Sox manager Ozzie Guillen to take on the role as the new manager of the new look Marlins. The pressure mounted very high for Guillen as the Marlins spent big bucks acquiring big-name free agents. The bottom line was that the Miami Marlins were supposed to be the favorites to clinch the NL East. However, this was not the case. The Marlins offense played pitifully, the pitching was abysmal, and the team ended up going on a fire sale, selling every last player that had some value left. The Marlins finished the season 69-93, dead last in the NL East. Based on this performance, plus numerous off-the-field instances, Ozzie Guillen was fired from his post as the Marlins manager. Ozzie Guillen's dismissal as manager made me wonder what his contract probably states regarding termination. Thus, today's episode will discuss the principle of termination as it's defined in contract law and what his clause potentially stated in his contract that could allow his dismissal as the Marlins manager. As we have discussed in previous episodes of Law and Batting Order, a contract consists of an offer, an acceptance, and a consideration. An offer is a manifestation or intent to enter into a bargain that is clear, explicit, and definite, which leaves nothing open for negotiation, such that an objectively reasonable person would agree to that bargain. Acceptance is an assent to carry out the terms set forth in the offer. Consideration is a bargain for exchange, such that there is something of legal value and there is a detriment to the promisor, the person who promises, or a benefit to the promisee, the person being promised something. In this case, let's assume that all these elements were satisfied as Ozzie Guillen agreed to a 4-year, $10 million deal. The concept of termination is rather simple. According to the Restatement Second of Contracts, Section 229, it states the following. To the extent that the non-occurrence of a condition would cause disproportionate forfeiture, a court may excuse the non-occurrence of that condition unless its occurrence was a material part of the agreed exchange. Furthermore, American Jurisprudence Second, Section 530, states the following regarding termination of a contract. A contract which names a specific period for duration, followed by a clause describing the period in terms other than those of a specific time, is not necessarily limited by the specific period designated. The ultimate criterion is the intention of the parties, which, where not expressed, is to be determined in accordance with the usual rules of construction. Combining the language of both the restatement and American jurisprudence, it makes it clear that termination is possible if a party does not live to his end of the bargain, even if the contract is designed to last for a certain period of time. Typically in sports contracts, you'll find a termination clause that allows a team or a franchise to terminate a contract if a party does not live up to his end of the bargain. An example is in the case of Rogers versus Georgia Tech Athletic Association. This case dealt with Pepper Rogers, who was Georgia Tech's football coach. In 1977, Coach Rogers signed a 3-year deal with the school and was entitled to a certain salary as well as benefits and perks. However, the court noted Rogers' termination clause in his contract, which states the following. Rogers could be terminated for illness or other incapacity continuing for 3 months, death, or any conduct or activity involving moral turpitude or which, in the opinion of the Board of Trustees, would constitute an embarrassment to the school. However, in 1980, the school believed it was in the best interest to relieve Coach Rogers of his duties as the school's football coach. This case goes into great length regarding whether or not Coach Rogers was entitled to compensation, but for the sake of brevity and simplicity, we'll avoid discussing that issue in this episode. The Rogers case is simply designed to show that the termination clauses are common in coaches' contracts that are in effect for a specific period of time. In this case, I am speculating that it is likely that Ozzie Guillen's contract contained a termination clause. The termination clause could have contained language stating essentially that if Guillen did not lead the team to a particular record, he would be relieved of his duties as manager. Of course, we don't know the exact terms of the clause. However, it seems undoubtedly true that Guillen's subpar performance as manager led to his dismissal as the manager. Perhaps the express word of the contract stated language that Guillen had to at least lead the Marlins to playoff contention during the season. If this were the case, then the rules of contract termination kicked in. He not only led his team to a below 500 record, but he was also the cause of much controversy in the beginning of the season after he publicly stated that he supported Fidel Castro. This did not bode well, especially since Miami has a predominantly Cuban community. Plus, his managerial rants and bloviating could have been contributing factors to his dismissal. Despite being locked in for a 4-year deal, the Marlins organization likely realized that Guillen did not perform his duties as manager in his first year in that role. While the Marlins are currently in the hunt for a new manager, this is how the principle of contract termination applies to the case of Ozzie Guillen. That's the show. Leave all your comments down below and be sure to visit Law and Batting Order at lawandbattingorder.com as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Take care, guys.